everybody. Welcome to 40 Years of Great Games. We are near the end of our series. We are now only a couple years ago in 2014. Now 2014, and just you'll find as these recent years come, there is such a plethora of good games. And because many of you watching these videos have gotten into gaming in the last couple of years, you're going to know a lot more games, and therefore the games that you missed, Vasel, is going to be higher on your list. And this was a tough one. I didn't put in Five Tribes, which was a game a lot of people enjoyed, or even Splendor, which was a fantastic game that sold a lot, or Thunder Alley, or The Battle of Five Armies, or Good Cop, Bad Cop. What did I put on my list? Well, number 10 is Chaos Ball. Now, Chaos Ball did not take off like I had hoped, but for me, Chaos Ball was a really good mix of some cosmic encounter-ish type thing and kind of a sports game where the object was kind of to get the ball into someone else's zone, but also to beat up the players on the other team. They came out with, I believe, 13 expansions, 17 different teams for the game. Each one has a very different feel to it. It is a lot of fun, a lot of unique and interesting stuff involved in this game. The teams were only slightly different in their special abilities, but they had different cool miniatures. I like this one, still have it, Chaos Ball. On the total other end of the spectrum is number 9, Orleans. Orleans was the first bag pulling game that I played, where you had a bag and you were putting tiles into this bag, and then you would pull tiles from the bag and place them on your board and then do special abilities based on how many what workers you pulled. And so then you were adding more and different types of workers to the bag. Some pretty cool elements to this. Later on, they came out with an expansion that added a cooperative style version to this, but I like it even by itself. The Tasty Minstrel made a deluxe version of this, which is phenomenally good. That's Orleans. Number 8 is a game that was one of those mega hits on Kickstarter, and that is Zaya. Now, Zaya was the first game, and from its designer, he's only done one more at this point, which is a surfing game. But Zaya was a sandbox game. And this one, you had a spaceship, and you could go around and you could pick up goods and take them over here and trade back and forth if you wanted. You could be a pirate and go after other ships. You could be a delivery. You could take passengers. You could go exploring. And each game played very differently. There was some really beautiful components, a lot of cool stuff in the box. But what really attracted to me is do what you want. There was no right way to win. A lot of fun in the box, Zaya. Number 7 is Roll for the Galaxy. I love Race for the Galaxy. Roll for the Galaxy is a very similar game, but uses dice, but not the way that you're used to dice. Yes, you roll them, but then you'll keep those and use those dice to activate different actions on the board, and all the dice were custom, and you had the ability to buy and get new dice that you would throw into your cup. So each time you rolled dice, you were trying to roll different combinations of trading. It plays very well with multiple players, has some beautiful components. The dice are nice, and of course it uses the same artwork from Race for the Galaxy. A very good game. I'm certainly biased on number 6, and that is Sheriff of Nottingham. Sheriff of Nottingham is a game, the first game in the Dice Tower Essentials line that was based on Heart and Grenz, but I wanted to bring this game back. So I started working with Arcane Wonders, and we started the line Dice Tower Essentials, and they took Heart and Grenz and modified it a bit and streamlined it, and now we have Sheriff of Nottingham, which is a great family bluffing game. This is one of the games in my collection that gets played more than almost any other. It is a lot of fun, as you simply say, I have 5 apples in my bag, and the other person looks at you and says, no, you don't. Just basically straight out bluffing other people, trying to collect lots of both legal and illegal resources. Definitely check this one out. Number 5 was Dead of Winter. Yeah, a zombie game of all things, but this one did not concentrate on the zombies. The zombies are kind of like they're there, and they're always a pain in the neck, but it's very similar to The Walking Dead. The zombies are more of a backdrop. It's all about the humans, and you are together trying to survive. Well, you think there's a possibility, not necessarily true, that there's a traitor amongst you. And even if there isn't a traitor, everyone has their own goals, which might be kind of greedy and make you think that they're the traitor. There's a lot of options in the game. The game really has a lot of theme, and it also introduced the crossroad mechanism in which one player has a card, and if you do whatever it says on that card on your turn, then they will read it and something will happen, which means things might happen now, they might happen, or nothing might happen at all. Very intriguing and comes together to be a great game that tells a story. Number 4 made me squeal a little bit when I first heard about it. That's Imperial Assault, Star Wars Imperial Assault. This was Star Wars based on the Descent system. Now, it's not quite the same as Descent. There's some differences, but it's very similar. And in this game, you are playing between the movies, and you're playing a ragtag group, sound familiar, of either a Jedi or a female Han Solo, we called her, different characters, and you run across many of the major characters from Star Wars. You're fighting stormtroopers and all sorts of things, but it also doubles as a tactical combat game, something I kind of blew off when I first heard about it, but I think I like the tactical game better at this point. This game is Star Wars. Star Wars and more Star Wars, and as time goes by, they're adding pretty much every major character from the series into it. It is a lot of fun, Star Wars Imperial Assault. Number 3. Now, some people will be like, how can you put this above Star Wars Imperial Assault? Mostly because we just have played it so much. I fell in love with this game when I heard about it almost, but first time I played it, boom, and that's Spyfall. In Spyfall, everyone knows where they are except one person. So you all might be at the circus. You all might be at the zoo. You all might be in a submarine. And you start asking each other questions, trying to figure out who is the spy, who doesn't know where you are. Of course, you don't want to be too obvious about it, because if the spy can figure out where they are, they win. So you're asking kind of vague but leading questions. It is always a blast, a lot of fun to play. Spyfall. Number 2, and this game is, by the way, this year is a great year because 2 of my favoriteest games are from this year. Number 2 is Arcadia Quest. Now, Arcadia Quest was not a game that was on my radar at all. In fact, when they asked me to play it at the first Cool Mini or Not convention, I was like, all right, I'll sit down and play it. It looks okay, has those chibi miniatures, and I was hooked from that first game. The idea of having different characters, 3 characters, and you have different cards that you are essentially exhausting to use and moving around, and there are monsters that you're fighting, but those monsters are just basically walking bags of treasure because your whole goal is to get in there and take out your opponents and accomplish different goals. And it has missions that are sequentially numbered, from 1 to 5, and you get better equipment from one to the next, but it's not a very long campaign. It's 5 games at most, and it's entertaining, and it's get those other people. It is so much fun. I don't know how to explain to you. Every time I think about playing Arcadia Quest, I'm happy because I enjoy the game that much. And my number 1 favorite game from the year 2014 is Marvel Dice Masters. Now, when Quarriors first came out, I really enjoyed Quarriors. I thought it was a great idea, taking a collectible card game and making it dice, putting dice into a bag and pulling them out and rolling them, and then to put Marvel superheroes on top of that. What? I love it. Then they added DC, so I can now take DC heroes up against Marvel heroes. They added Dungeons & Dragons and Yu-Gi-Oh! Too. But just having all that stuff, there's so much Dice Master stuff out right now that I don't care if they ever make any more. But I'll keep buying it and playing it because I like Dice Masters that much. There's so much involved with the game. It is a great, fast 2-player game. It is like a game that was designed for me, and that's why I like it so much. So those are my top 10 games of 2014. What are yours? What games did I miss? Because I'm sure I missed some fantastic ones that you like. Tell me in the comments. This has been 40 Years of Great Games. I'm your host, Tom Vasel. Thanks for watching The Dice Tower.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.